All right, guys, welcome to the FTX Market Mastery course. We've got a whole heap of people online at the moment, and we're really excited to bring you guys this course. We've been talking about this for a long time with the guys over at FTX. And yeah, I mean, you've known me and Troy for a long time. A lot of you guys probably known Troy for probably a year and a half longer than me. We've never really been affiliated with an exchange at all. But when we met the guys at FTX and we started talking to them about what they were doing, we could tell that these guys weren't just like a overnight, like fly by night type of exchange that we're going to come and go. Like we've seen so many out there, but these guys were actually real traders. Sam, who is the founder and one of the main owners of FTX, was actually on the leaderboard of BitMEX for like a couple of years. Alameda Research, you guys might have seen his name up there for a while. These guys are really good quant traders, so they understand really deeply what traders want and the different types of things that they want to be able to trade. And just chatting with the guys, like they're extremely intelligent. They're extremely intelligent dudes, and they're pretty cool and chilled back and laid back, I should say. And they understand that they need to create an exchange that your average retail trader can use, but they also have all this really cool, quite advanced metrics and things like that are inside the exchange as well that we're going to be able to take advantage of. They've got some really cool things coming out further down the track, like a copy trading system and a quant zone type thing. So all you guys are using the copy trader thing with Troy over like this year. We were using it on and off for a little bit. They're going to have all that sort of stuff inbuilt into the exchange. And, they have like all these cool, exciting different markets you can trade, like the move contract, which, especially when Bitcoin's been extremely dead over the last couple of weeks, has been my favorite thing to trade to keep my life a little bit exciting with no Bitcoin moves. And then they have like other fun stuff like, the Trump and Biden markets that you can trade on who's going to win the US presidential election. And they have other cool stuff like all these different sort of ETF type setups, which you would usually see in like traditional markets. So, you have like different altcoin sort of ETFs. Basically, they've got a package of coins that they bundle together for you. And then, it fluctuates when obviously those coins change in price. So it's doing so many cool things. And I really believe that FTX is probably going to take over as the number one exchange, just because I just feel like the compatibility and the user interface is just so much better than any other exchange that I've used in the crypto game. And they're working tirelessly to constantly improve it and make it more user-friendly and make it easier for everyone to understand. So we're going to start off tonight with a whole heap of the basics, from the very start of showing you how to get your account going, all that sort of stuff, how to work your way around the exchange, how to put capital onto the exchange, how to look to enter trades and stuff like that. So across the whole course, we're going to be going through a whole heap of different things. So obviously, day one, it's more about TradingView and about the actual FTX exchange. And then day two, if you want to click, Troy. Yeah, day two, we're going to be going through things like risk management techniques, position size calculations, seeing your stop losses, all the sort of stuff that you really need to know to actually be able to trade. Yep. And then day three, we're going to be going through some technical analysis strategies. Troy's going to cover his routine checklist and strategy to the charts, which is going to be great. I'm going to be covering off move contracts and also how we create intrinsic value and work out which type of position we want to be in. If we want to be in a short position or a long position, and how to profit off that and also protect our downside if we want to on that market, because it can be quite tricky, but it's a great one to trade if you can get a handle on it. Then day four, we're going to be going over more trading strategies, basically. And we're going to take you guys through those step by step. Troy's going to take you through one of his favorite, which has been backward and forward tested. And it has an 84% win rate, which is pretty handy to be able to have somebody else that have done all that research and handball you that. I'm going to be taking you guys through one of my most profitable trading setups. We're going to go over that and how to implement that. And then day five, we're going to be going through all the key things that you actually need to become a professional and successful trader, like logging your trades and tracking your data, bringing it all together, being disciplined. Then we're going to go through like a Q&A session. And then it's also every session that we do across the 5 sessions is going to be 2.5 weeks. We are going to be doing obviously an overview of the market as well each time. So we're going to be looking at like any trades, like the same as when, if you guys did our course last year, we're going to be doing the same thing. So we're going to be doing like educational content, but we're also going to have a look over the market. So hopefully while we're going through this course and we've shown you some of our strategies and stuff like that, you guys might be able to make some trades with us and make some nice profitable trades over the next 2.5 weeks. So it's going to be every Tuesday and every Thursday at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So it's Melbourne, Sydney time. And yeah, basically from there, we'll be handballing you guys across to basically getting in on your own 2 feet and trading by yourself. So that's pretty much it from me and the full cheese intro. I'm just going to make sure, I'm going to be sitting in the background, making sure everyone can access the webinar and they're not trying to get in. And Troy's going to take over from here. So I'll handball across to you, mate.
G'day guys. Cheers for tuning in and signing up to do this free course sponsored by FTX. They've paid us, so you guys don't have to. We'll get stuck into it. We're going to explore FTX Exchange as well as TradingView and just the basics to navigating around that. We're going to start at a pretty basic level because we don't know what level everyone's at. A fair few of the people joining tonight are actually from Nuggets' private group. So if you're not a part of that, feel free to check that out as well. But a lot of you guys are into your fundamentals or you've got limited exposure to technical trading. So we'll just cover the basics as well and go from there, right? So first we're going to the first step is usually making an FTX account. So if you haven't made one of those, definitely make one of those if you've found your way in here without one. But I'm assuming because you're here, you'll have one. So we'll move on past that. We're just going to go for a basic navigation around the exchange. Kyle will cover the actually placing orders and stop losses like that in detail, and this is recorded. So you'll be able to go over that as many times as you like. And Kyle's got a fantastic way of explaining it. So we'll get into that. We're also going to go into FTT, the token. So FTX Exchange, just like Binance, they've got the BNB token. FTX have got their own token, the FTT. What actually attracted me to this, which I didn't know about until recently actually, was the FTT token. All you have to do is hold it to be given the discount on trading fees. Where BNB, you've actually got to spend your BNB to get that discount on trading fees. And when you're like me, you're trading position sizes of 50,000 to 100,000 USD per trade, the fees hurt, right? And I've never been a big fan of the fact I have to keep buying BNB to get that fee down. So being able to hold FTT is definitely one of the incentives for me to move across without even the exchange itself. Just this case here was enough. If you're a trader with volume, this is quite attractive, right? If you bring a bit of weight into your trades, the fees can hurt, right? And because you're not constantly having these BNB transactions happen beside your trade that's happening, because that also becomes a taxable event, right? Because that's a trade in itself. You're spending money. So just less work for your accountant as well. Deposits, withdrawals. So at the moment, the fiat gateway is available for Australians, and I'm assuming the majority of people in this webinar at the moment are from Australia. The current international platform for fiat deposits and withdrawal actually goes through an international platform in London. So there's a little bit of delay in that at the moment, but they are working with an Australian OTC desk at the moment, and I believe, but don't hold me to this, that they're actually acquiring them as well. So they're going to have their own Australian OTC desk, which will be amazing as well. And hopefully they can get those fees down for that, right? Because at the moment it's third party and there is a fee for withdrawing and depositing, but it's not percentage based. I think it's up to $75 on withdrawal. But we'll check that out as well. And then Carl's going to cover this, which is placing and cancelling trades. And using there's two different kinds of ways of using that, which we'll get into. And then we'll just go into TradingView, and we'll cover that. I'll explain to you how to get a discount from them. It might not always work, but if you guys can save $1, then that's awesome. And we'll just cover the basics of TradingView and how to use it efficiently. And then just going into how to combine those two, right? And the list, which we'll go into if you're not sure what they are, we'll get into those. Just makes your life a bit easier as well. And I'll give you my access to my list I've got a pure FTX one, or the main one I use on my TradingView over here, which is a list over here where it's got every single ticker for either FTX or the main, which has pretty much every ticker that is relevant in the crypto market. I'll give you access to both of those as well. So we'll get into that now. Just gonna have a real quick drink and we'll get started. Cool. All right. Cool. All right. We'll get into the FTX. So when you first come to the exchange, you're going to end up at the home screen, right? Usually you find just a bit of news down here. This is what I've been mostly paying attention to down here is just the news. You've got direct links to the move contracts that Kyle will cover at a later date. These are very interesting as a fractal trader because we can predict volatility, especially if you combine that with Ichimoku, which is what I'm going to help you guys cover at a later date as well. Just new index futures are adding. Pretty self-explanatory, right? They've got a quant zone which we'll cover as well, and then down the bottom here you've just got the app, right? So BitMEX, for instance, didn't have a phone app, so this is quite handy to have. I quite enjoyed Binance as one to be able to move money around while I'm on the go, and now FTX also offer that. We'll just go past the homepage, right? Keeping it quite simple. Next is markets. So these are all the currently tradable pairs, right? And on the left-hand side here, you'll see the two tickers. So BTC stands for Bitcoin. We all know that, right? We'll keep it simple. PERP stands for perpetual, which just means ongoing futures. So this contract never ends, right? But if we go, say, to the futures, which will be the if we go up here, it'll be a bit easier wherever I'm hiding that BTC here. So the futures, you've got different dates on the right-hand side over here, and that's when they expire, right? So that means you can trade on these guys for free, but there's going to be a funding fee on this one, and Kyle will cover that shortly as well. All right. Pretty self-explanatory how you find these. You've got the volume up and down. So if you're someone who trades with volume, you don't want to be looking at some of these lower ones to be trading with because you have a very hard time getting in and out, right? So the total US volume at the moment on this particular contract is 6,178 in a 24-hour period, right? So if I'm someone who trades in a $50,000 position, I'm not even going to bother looking at that. So keep that kind of stuff in mind as well. If you do trade with volume, you want to be sticking to where the volume is until at least these grow a bit more and a bit more enticing for someone who uses volume. And then the rest is pretty self-explanatory, right? You got different kinds of tickers. So this is their futures charts, right? And then you've also got the spot charts here. This is if you've ever traded altcoins during 2017 on say Bittrex or Polynex or Binance before they moved to futures. This is the same layout as that. So you either own the altcoin or you own the pair against it. There's no leverages, there's no futures. You either own one or the other. And when you make a trade, you only ever hold that quantity that you agree to in that trade. So if you want to trade one Bitcoin for 10,000 IOTA, if the trade goes against you while you're holding 10,000 IOTA, all you're doing is losing the USD value or the Bitcoin value of them. You don't actually lose your quantity. Where on futures and stuff like that, you can actually be liquidated and actually lose part of your account. All right, so different ball games. I'd always recommend people who are first starting out to first get familiar with spot before touching any form of higher leverage that the futures usually allow. I personally believe 1 to 5 times is plenty of leverage. Anything above that, it can get quite out of hand. People start to get greedy, and that's not what you go. That's not why you get into trading, right? So just keep your leverage in check if you ever do get into it on the futures spot. Keeps it nice and simple. This is another way of trading as well. Somewhat like spot and leverage, just allows you to get exposure to a little bit more of a position than spot does. I'd recommend checking these out if you wish, if you do want to increase your risk to reward, I guess you'd pronounce that. So if you believe, say, SXP Bear, this contract here is going to go down, then this gives you 3 times the leverage as a spot would. So it's not too much more, but it's enough to keep you interested and a little bit more profitable. And it makes somewhat spot trading a bit more profitable without going degenerate and jumping on 50 times or 100 times leverage, right? So I definitely don't recommend those yet. This is volatility, which Kyle's going to cover later on. How you can trade the move contracts, like we covered in the video yesterday that we put out on Monday. I'm pretty sure that was yesterday. Yep. We said it's time to long move. It's pretty clear breakout. And since then, I've had a bunch of messages on both Discord and Facebook today saying, "Wow, well done on the move pick." Right? If you know when volatility is going to be coming, these things can be amazing. And if you know when there's going to be no volatility, these things can be amazing as well. You don't have to get the direction right. You just have to understand how to play these. And Kyle's got a really good way of explaining that. And then you've got the odd ones, like you've got DeFi Perp. All right, so this is an index of all the current DeFi ones that they account for. And then you've got ones as crazy as Trump, Bernie, right? It's just giving you exposure to stuff that you'd like to be able to do. They get requested for this, and they actually fulfill the request, right? So they've got oil here as well. So if you want exposure to oil, it's all here, and you can shoot them through request, and they'll actually take it seriously. So if you've got a genuine request to be able to put in here, reach out to them. They might actually fulfill your request. And then there's just the fiat, right? So this is the actual dollars, right? And then you've got also the stable coins. So the way I would go about the actual dollars, if you wanted to buy cryptocurrency from FTX, I'd actually go through the wallet section. If we come down to here, you've got the balances. So right now, I've got a couple of spare play dollars from a $50 line of credit that I was given by FTX just to muck around on their exchange originally. And then I've also got currently 5,000 USD on this account at the moment, right? But to get to the fiat, it's over here. So all balances has them all, or we can just narrow it down to fiat here, right? And then for most people, it'd be the Australian dollar here. Cool. So you can actually go deposit and withdraw here. And then when you do deposit, it gives you this, first there's a pop-up that you'll have to accept before it takes you to this screen. I've already accepted that pop-up. So do that in your own time. But this is if you wanted to deposit money directly into FTX, into AUD, and that will let you get money in. But at this stage, this is through third party on their withdrawal. So if we go out of this one and back to the withdrawal, where are we over here? There's actually going to be a potential $75 fee that they state here. If your account is below 10,000 USD, when you do, sorry, the withdrawal amount is below 10,000 USD. So just like a bank would, they're doing labor work for you, so they're going to charge you for that. So just something to keep in mind as well. So if you are depositing and withdrawing, there may be fees, but they are working to acquire an Australian OTC desk at the moment, I believe, right? And that should be happening up, should be weeks or months away, which will change the game, I think, in Australia when it comes to getting money in and out of crypto, right? They seem to be very aggressive in a very good way of expanding. So I think this one also happen pretty soon, which is good, right? You want to get your money in and out. Whenever I make an investment in anything, I always have like a couple of questions. That is, how do I get my money in, right? How does it make money? And how do I get my money back out? So each three of those steps is important. So the withdrawal one, if we're experiencing another parabolic top, you're going to really want to know how this works, right? So a lot of people had that problem in 2017. They weren't quite sure what their exit plan was, and a lot of them ended up holding. And that could be some of you guys. But for me, my claim to fame is that I was able to sell that, and I had an exit plan at that, and I executed that right. So that takes discipline, and that takes planning ahead. Because in the moment when you're feeling euphoric and Bitcoin's going up several $1,000s per day or something, it's very hard to keep your head screwed on, because we are humans. We do experience emotion, and sometimes those emotions can deviate us away from our original plan. So it's good to stay in check the entire time. Just so better spending crypto back to something like CoinSpot and then swapping for fiat. Depends on what your plan is. Me personally, I've usually used CoinSpot. I haven't had an issue with them. but I also haven't had to really cash out for a very long time. So depends on what your own plan is, I guess. There's several in Australia, for instance. There's CoinSpot, there's SwiftX. There's a few other guys. I've spoken to the founder of SwiftX. They come across pretty good. A few people have had issues with how serious they take their exchange. I don't think that's a bad thing, because if it goes wrong, they'll be the first people to complain that the exchange didn't go right, and the exchange didn't do their job because their money's missing. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully FTX will acquire those people and we can move on from that. Any
Some of the
particular
guys are
question?
just asking how to,
Yep.
can you show us how to deposit cryptocurrency, say, from a Binance wallet to the FTX wallet?
Yeah, I should be able to do that. So I've got let's do that here. I've got an account here. Let's go to a spot wallet on Binance. I'm assuming you guys can see this. Cool. So this one's got currently USD in it as well, right? So if I wanted to move this to, we're going to say FTX. So what I do is I come up to wallet, which is up here. You want to actually find wallet down here as well, right? And then what you want to be doing is finding the wallet that's relevant to the coin you're transferring, right? So for me, I want to transfer USDT, Tether. So I'd come over here and go withdraw. That's going to bring up the screen here, and it's going to ask for the address, right? So when I go to the FTX's account, I've got a deposit here. So if I click on this, it'll bring up an address, right? So this will be a static address. It should not change. Being USDT, they are also on ERC20, Ethereum, and the TRX blockchain. So you can use any three of these wallet addresses, and it will end up in the same section here. So for this one, we'll just use the default, which is this guy at the top. You can just copy that instead of having to copy and paste it yourself manually or writing that down. Go back to Binance, paste it over here, right? And then just by default, so there was a free to choose from. Omni is the default one for this. We click on that. The amount we want to send. So if we want to spend another 5,000 across here, there we go, cool. We're going to see on the bottom right down here, we're going to get less than that. They're going to take a $4.59 US fee, right? So usually what I do is I round off because I like to have round numbers on wherever I'm sending money. So I'd pay the fee on top and then send that and submit that. It's going to ask me for 2FA information. I'm not going to bring that up for my own security. But that's what happens. You fill your 2FA out. You've got to get an email code as well, so keep that in mind. So check your emails when you are doing this. And then once it's all confirmed on Binance's end or whatever exchange or wherever you've acquired this cryptocurrency from, it should end up in the relative wallet here, right? So you got to be really careful you're sending to the right stuff as well. So this is, say, USD and stable coins, right? So that's the actual US dollar. They host the US dollar on here. And then when you go to the Bitcoin chart, this perp chart here, we go into that. Sorry, over here, this one, the spot one. It's actually a USD and not USDT. So if you're on this one and you're wondering why you've got no funds available to trade on it, but you're adamant you've got $5,000 US in your account, it's actually because it's a completely different ticker and pair. So you've got to make sure you're actually using the correct one, which will go back to BTC. It's this guy here. And now we've got our additional funds that we can use to trade in over here, right? So that's how you transfer. It's pretty straightforward. And it's just a reverse on the way back out. Hakan, you can actually lose your cryptocurrency if you do stuff it up to the point where you've sent, say, Bitcoin to an Ethereum wallet, or just if you go from the wrong thing to the wrong thing, you can really stuff it up. ERC20 coins are usually automatic, so you can be saved by that. But just triple check your transfers, because this is your money, right? This is your capital. You don't want to lose this. So take the extra time, triple check what you're doing. Have a system in place where you can't stuff it up, all right? As long as you're using the copy and paste buttons, these, right? You shouldn't stuff up the address. The only thing you could stuff up is sending USDT to a Ethereum wallet or Bitcoin Cash to Litecoin wallet or something like that. That's how you lose your coins in a silly way, right? And people have done it a lot. I've been running a crypto community since mid-17, and the amount of people that have done that over the years and come to me, I've had to tell them that I've lost some of them quite a large amount of money just because of something really stupid like that. So slow down, make sure you know what you're doing. If you're feeling emotional when you're transferring it, you're probably trying to transfer it for the wrong reasons, and just take a step back for a moment because you could end up losing it permanently. All right. Just come back to this, back to day one here. So just a bit of a navigate around the exchange. We'll go a little bit further. All right, so on the left, you've got all these extra things over here. So markets, we've covered the tickers, all right, which is all of these. And the list I give you for TradingView will include all of these as well, all right? That's a good idea, cover. Send a little bit first to make sure you haven't stuffed it up. This is the current vote on listings. So if they're actually going to list a token, right, they're letting the community decide, right? So at the moment, VET is well ahead of DMG. All right, so pretty straightforward. Leverage tokens is just the same as we covered before on the markets. All right, the leverage tokens here, it's just the same over here. So nothing too special there. OTC, this is for OTC traders. This is usually where big money moves around, right? So if you do use a lot of capital, definitely check out the OTC options. Contact their customer support, any issues at all. Pretty hands-on, unlike most exchanges, which I've found. If you have issues with pretty much any of the other majors right now, BitMEX, Binance, Bybit as well, actually, the customer support's pretty slack. These guys they've got a point of difference here. Won't shoot them too hard, but there's an actual point of difference.
BitMEX gets back to no one,
Yeah,
especially if you've lost capital, can't access your email or something like that. They just don't respond, just keep
it's
it.
legit. It's same with Binance at the moment. They're getting too big for their own good, and their
It's
customer support
horrible.
can't keep up. So just something to keep in mind, guys. Customer support is something. Options, I won't get into this. I won't be covering this. I don't trade options myself. But this is they're building on this, and they believe options are going to be a big part of Bitcoin's future. So we'll definitely cover this at a later date, and probably run an entire course purely on options when the time comes to that. But right now, there's only 68 Bitcoin volume, right? This is not worth our time just yet. Quant Zone, this has got my interest. This is one of the major reasons I come across. So on and off this year during the chaotic market there has been, and then the stale market there has been, I've had a trading program that mimics my trades, and this is going to be another version of that, and it's based on trust through the exchange. So at the moment, if someone was to join the trading service that I did provide, they'd pay a one-off fee and be a part of that. But what this would allow them to do is be more of like a smart contract where they've agreed that I'll get 5% of all their profit as long as I keep making profitable trades. They'll constantly automatically give me part of their profit based on like a copy trader kind of thing. They've also got like different strategies you can put out here, and if people use them and make money, then you get a kickback, blah, blah, blah. Pretty cool feature for an exchange to have this on hand and not to be third party. Very exciting, I think. So definitely one to keep an eye on if you're into your trading or following other traders and the rest of it. Will be good. Volume Monitor is them doing their best to audit the other exchanges and their reported volume and their adjusted volume. Pretty much just trying to keep the space as legitimate as possible, right? There'll be many tips and tricks out there to fluff these numbers right up. And it's just like any marketing company in the world, they do every trick in the book to try and attract people, right? So if you've got the major volume out of all the crypto exchanges, people are probably going to trust you more, per se. Maybe that's how they'll perceive it. So this is just doing their best to keep everyone in check and show what's probably more likely than what's being listed, right? Cool. This is just leaderboard. So this is what Kyle was talking about earlier for BitMEX. Sam from FTX used to dominate the leaderboard in BitMEX. Absolute weapon of a trader, right? Competitions. They've got different competitions. This one actually launches tomorrow. They're pretty excited about the DeFi trading competition. And that pretty much will run from tomorrow here for a week. Open that back up. All right. Pretty straightforward. You'd have to go to some accounts and select a DeFi competition. and then trade any of these pairs during that to be eligible for that. And they've got these competitions constantly running. So we'll just go back to that. Heaps of different ones. So if you're into competitive trading, it's always a good way to go about it. Just check them out. I personally haven't traded competitions before. I like to be cool, calm, and collect and not be under any form of pressure usually. So I might have to check this out though, the DeFi one, because DeFi is exploding. I think we went from an ICO period in 17, which died out, and then became the IEO, which is the exchange launched tokens, which is what Binance did a lot of, if you guys remember, over the last year or two. And I think we're moving to DeFi. Everyone's moving to DeFi, which is a new buzzword of crypto. So probably definitely worth checking out. With them launching this, there's probably going to be a lot of extra attention on these particular tickers. So they'll probably end up getting a bit more volatility and a bit more volume coming into these. So check these out if you can, if you're a confident trader. If not, wait until we've at least covered a trading strategy and disciplined approaches to the market. Wallet is what we covered before, right? Pretty easy to navigate around these. Any questions though? There is no bad questions when it comes to money, in my opinion. So feel free to ask what you might feel is stupid, because I bet you at least 10 other people will be sitting there going, I agree. Like, I'm glad he asked that question. So it's been the entire way since Kindy, right? That's just human behavior. This just shows your current positions you open, right? And you've also got the sub accounts, which we'll cover in a second. So if you've got a bunch of current positions open here, you can go straight to this, right? Which is actually a pretty good thing, because you'll be able to manage them over here as well, right? And then you've got your orders, current open orders. So that an order is one that hasn't been filled yet. So say, for instance, you want to get into Bitcoin when it falls down $100 and you've got your order open, it's going to end up sitting in here, right? Trade history and shareable P&L, right? It's me mucking around with the move contract over the last couple of weeks. And then you got shareable P&L here as well. And this is the last long on move I've done and let it expire. I think it was like a $20 position. And these have been, the swings are pretty out of control when it looks like it on here. But this is actually reflective, completely different to what you're taking in your account, which Carl's going to explain in great detail, because the wins and the losses are massive, and percentage-wise, because it's based off margin and Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin. But these could only be $20 positions, and they may only make some, right? There's been some pretty massive ones. You can actually share these, which is a cool little feature. It's a real EP kind of like rub my ego kind of thing. So I'm not a big fan in that sense. I'd prefer it to show the entry, the exit on the chart, and being able to have maybe like a little bit of a trade plan as well. Try and keep it more educational. But these numbers are, that's what's achievable on move if you understand what you're doing. Because you've got different published ones as well, right? So it's been pretty good. So you can publish these. You got a username you can give yourself here. That's been mine across the board for a while now on most things. There is a recorded version of this available for everyone, and all the ones we do after. I reckon if we can help them create a better version of this, that'll help them dominate, because at the moment it's just e-ping factor, right? Everyone wants the ego rub because they've got these stupidly high wins and the rest of it, and they share them out. Like I think Kyle got a 1,000% win, and he deserves it. But it should have more information, I reckon. So it's more educational, and like you can actually, it wasn't just a random punt, you know. I'd like that to be included. And you got a troll box down here if you want to jump on and talk to all the other randoms around the world trading at the moment. I personally never go into this. I have no time for people and their opinions, so I don't check that out. But if you're a social butterfly and want to talk to strangers, go ham. You've got published and not published. So when you've got one that you've recently traded here, for instance, you can go share, which will then turn it into a published one, which is here. Now you can either print screen that as it is, or tweet it like that, copy it, etc., delete it. But when we go back to shareable now, it should be here, all right? So if you're into this, then definitely get into it. FTX.pnl. I might just go to that URL suggested by JJ in chat. Sure. Futures. Okay, this is futures. Okay. All right. Cool. All right, and then you've got all these are just current tickers that you can trade, right? So you break it down, it shows all the pairs for the particular one. All right. And you got a few extras over here. So nothing too special. You can go into the settings and muck around. I want to show you sub accounts. Sub accounts, I believe, are an amazing feature. The way they've done this, I'm just going to delete both of these. So you've got your main account. The way I see this is when you log into your internet banking, you've got your spending account, your saving account, maybe your superannuation, whatever you've got set up. This allows you to have a somewhat similar approach. So you have your main account, and maybe you want to have a degenerate account. And by that, I mean higher leverage. So I would call this degen or something like that, degen trade or something. So if you're someone who does muck around with higher leverage, you can make an account dedicated purely for that, right? So we've got our main account, which is where that 5,000 USDT is sitting at the moment. But we also then have a degen account, right? And the whole purpose is that when we're in this degen account, our mentality is that we're allowed to be risky, right? And the money that's in that account is not actually linked directly to the main account. So it's just like a bank account. If one gets hacked, you're not going to lose the money in the other one as well. So if you have a trade that has, like, say, cross leverage on the main account going, and that gets liquidated and takes that whole account out, it's not actually going to hurt any of the funds on the degen one, right? So that's quite handy. And just to transfer, it's just like a bank account. You trade from one account to the other, right? So you send it from this account to that account. I think that's an amazing idea. And you just choose what you want to send. Pretty straightforward, right? I think this is great, because if you set them all up professionally and you do this correctly, you can be like this. This is my Ichimoku breakout account, right? And it's only ever allowed to take a $1,000 position, so maybe I only ever give it $1,000 to play with. And this just keeps you in a mentality that when you're in this degen account, for the lack of a better word, sorry for using degen, but it just, you're allowed to be risky in this, and the funds that you've allocated to this are allowed to get into a little bit of trouble, or they're allowed to make a lot of money. It's not all about losing, right? Yes. So in the sub account said they're importing. Yes, I believe so, Andrew.
Yeah, because you go in between accounts. So when you're on your main account, then you're looking at your P&L, or show your main account P&L. When you're in your degen trade, or show your degen trade. And also in the P&L statement, you can break it down by different types of coins that you're trading as well. So I might show you guys later, because I've been trading a little bit more on my account than Troy has. So I might show up a little bit better. But you can see the FTZ trades. I got stopped out on a couple of those. And then you can see all the trades that I made profit on trading moves. So
yeah,
it's cool because you have the different sub accounts, right? You can sort of break up your strategies as well. So if you're the type of trader that wants to trade a couple of different strategies, instead of having them like mixed, and you might be trading, I don't know, like a moving averages type of setup or something like that on one account, and then that doesn't really work with trading like a price action type, trading like an SFP bull div or something like that on another, you trade on that on another account, and then over time you can see which type of setup is more profitable. And it's a good way to just sort of keep track of what you're doing and what's working for you and what's not working for you so much. So yeah, just the extra sort of reporting and being able to break it up. There's some really good tools for people who want to be professional traders, just to make your life a little bit easier with the whole tracking and stuff like that as well.
Cool. All right, so we've covered all of these here already. Referrals, that's pretty straightforward. You guys would have seen the screen when you made your account and reported that number back to the sign-up form, right? And this is just telling you, if you do end up getting your own referrals, affiliates, you'll end up getting a percentage of their fees as profit for yourself, right? If you do end up with a fair amount and they are trading, it actually becomes quite a nice income. During the mania in 2017, my CoinSpot affiliate account was making a silly amount actually. So if you are a trader and you have a community of other traders and you do end up using FTX and you want to bring along your trading community of your own, definitely take advantage of this if you can. It'll end up a nice little kickback for yourself, right? Next would be just the settings. Pretty straightforward. Most exchange settings are the same, right? You've got your security, 2FA. I highly recommend 2FA, at least using Authy or Google Authenticator. Use one of these two. Yeah, definitely set those up if you haven't already. It can be a little bit annoying, but security comes first before convenience, in my opinion. You can increase your withdrawal limits based on your identity level of verification. Every exchange is like that. Referrals, that's what we covered already. And you've got your fees here as well, right? So just have a read of these. You can read these in your own time as well, right? Then you've also got your default, right? You can choose your default here. So it's good to be able to do that. If you're someone, actually another thing you can do with the sub accounts, I believe, is choosing the leverage by default of that account as well. So if you're on your DGen one, it might be at 50 times by default. And if you're on your Cool, Calm, and Collect one, maybe you're on 1 to 5 times, right? You can also use your FTT balance as collateral. So when it comes to, say, cross trading, you can actually use that to cover a loss. I wouldn't recommend delving into that if you're new, but if you do have FTT balance, a large one, because you are using that to reduce trading fees, and you do have a trade going against you, but you want to hold that open, you can actually use your FTT balance as collateral for that, which is pretty handy, I think, but it's probably a bit more for advanced traders, so don't muck around that if you're new to trading. Right. Probably just leave that. API, that's straightforward if anyone who does APIs. That's just linking directly into their backend based on what you want to grab from them. There's many ways API keys can be used. As part of the bot that I use on Binance at the moment, they use API keys as well, so even the bots use these. And then just the rest, these are all pretty straightforward. Don't think we need to cover those. We'll go back to the sheet now. So we've covered this off really. FTT, we've covered that off, that holding it is a better use case, in my opinion, than BNB that gets consumed when you trade. So we'll go into the fees if we can find that really quickly. Where did I find that earlier? FTT here. Cool. So these are the rebates for holding here, right? So if you've actually got a large amount of FTT token, you can have a massive discount on trading fees. And what is beautiful about that, which I've said over and over, is you don't actually spend the FTT when you trade like BNB. And I think that is a stupidly massive point of difference here. So definitely explore that. It means you don't have to keep buying BNB. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Their burn, right? I won't cover the stuff. I mean, it's pretty straightforward and you can read in your own time. It's not going to help you trade. We'll go back to the list. Cool. So depositing withdrawals, we've done that as well. Kyle's going to go into the placing and cancelling trades. Did you want to do that now, Kyle, before I move on to TradingView, or did you want to do that at the end?
I can just do it at the end.
Cool. Yes, there will be a recording of this video. All 5 of them will be recorded. So you'll be able to go back over and over it.
Actually, it's probably a better idea that I go through it now before we go into TradingView. Hey.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'll stop my screen share and go ahead.
Okay, 1 sec. All right. Share screen. Sorry, one. All right, can you guys see me?
I can see you fine, mate.
Brilliant. So yeah, what are we looking at here? So basically what I'm going to quickly cover off, guys, is just how to enter and set up a trade. And then we're going to go through how to set your stop loss and where you should be setting them. And then we're going to be looking at things like how do you set your take profit, and then how to also do the individual orders, because there's a way to do it using the advanced calculator. You do all of them at once, which is really cool. It also tells you the percentages that you're going to make back, which is sweet. We just went over P&L and shareable P&L, but I can show you how the P&L can be a lot more in depth, which is pretty cool. And we'll cover off the order book quickly as well. And then we can do questions afterwards. So start off by going to markets, or you've also got these little cool tabs up the top, which is pretty much how I go through the exchange. So basically the one that I usually trading at the moment is the move contract. Is the one that I've had the most trades on. And so we can see, I usually look at it on the hourly. This is my entry here. So I opened this trade on the first hour of the contract. So this was 10 a.m. yesterday morning. So the weekly open, I went long there. And yeah, obviously, it ended up playing out and got a nice move off there. So you can see down here, the trades I've got open at the moment. So I bet at about $100 on this trade, 100 USD back here. And you can see that I've already got in my P&L, it's about $100 that has been returned, which is, it's pretty profitable considering Bitcoin hasn't had that big of a move. But we can see that the actual price of the move has gone from 116 up to 123. So, when you take away fees and stuff like that, it ends up being around about $100 that I'm actually up, right? And so you can sort of work it out like that. So basically the way that I think about how I'm going to make money off this contract, we'll get into this a little bit deeper later on, but I know there's a few people that are out here trading with us who are a little bit confused about it. I actually go and enter around about the size of the contract that one move is, right? So that's what I've actually done here. I didn't actually put in $100 USD. I actually put in the size. It was one move, and that's why you can see my position size here is actually listed as one Bitcoin. So when you go in here and you go one move contract, right? See, one move contract is $224. Back here, when I entered the trade, it was like $120, I'm pretty sure. I think I got it at like 121.5 or something like that, right? So I do that, and just betting, one move contract, or you can go here and you can bet like $100, or someone on our team was trying to bet $900 the other day. But the issue that he was having was that I was maxing out his account leverage so much, because every time you do one move contract, it actually uses collateral in your account and holds one Bitcoin as collateral. So, but we'll go over that a little bit later when we get a bit more advanced. So basically, first thing we're going to look at is entering a trade using the advanced entry system, right? So what we want to be looking at, I just set one up actually on XTZ, right? So we can see the cool thing that I really like about these guys is you can actually see where you've entered previous trades, right? So I've had a couple of trades. This one was, I was trying to play like a sort of an ascending triangle breakout, sorry, symmetrical triangle breakout. And then I ended up getting stopped out pretty much at break even, and it sort of ended up dying off. I was hoping for sort of overnight this to sort of rally off, because it looked like a nice sort of support level through here that we might be bouncing off, but obviously that ended up breaking down. Now, just looking at this ascending triangle, right, and looking for this to play out. Sorry, ascending triangle, I'm talking about a falling wedge, right? And so I'm looking for this to play out at the moment. So looking at it like this sort of feels like it's coming back to the resistance trend line at the moment, just ignoring this outlier here. We've had multiple touches on the bottom, right? And we've broken below. So obviously this was the first time I tried to get in here, thinking that we might break out through there. And I got stopped out in the next candle actually. So it wasn't really a great trade and lost about $200. So, not the end of the world at all, because I've only got 2 Bitcoin on this exchange at the moment. So I'm not trading that big of a size, but I think it was like a 5K position, right? So I got stopped out in the next candle and obviously was invalidated. But when this reclaimed the bottom of this trend line here, and obviously Bitcoin broke out, if Bitcoin continues to rally, I think XTZ is going to push quite aggressively, and I definitely can see it coming up to 3.277, right? So what we're going to do, actually, I'll leave that open for now. So what we'll do is we'll go and have a look at this. So this is a cool little thing that we can use, right? So basically this is how we enter into our trades. And so this obviously here is the price that we're currently at. So 2.9, 2.9. We can have the amount of XTZ we want to enter in, or we can have the amount of USD that we want to enter in. And this will be a limit order, right? Now, when we go and we press this little button here, which looks like a refresh button, I'm actually going to change the shape of this to reflect a little bit better, because we all thought it was a refresh button, but it actually is the more advanced calculator button, right? So it's actually, you can push it here and it pops out as a pop-up screen, right? And buy and sell side, obviously. Or you can just have it set like that all the time, which is the way I use it, right? So let's set up a trade. I'm going to enter now because, let's just say we're looking for this to break out, right? So we will do the amount that we want to trade first, right? So I'm not going to do position size calculation and stuff like that, but we'll enter $5,000, right? Oof. I keep on clicking on the Zoom border when I try to scroll up. So we're going to enter $5,000. We're going to put in our stop loss. So we've already got a stop loss in here, but I'll just drag this one down, right? And you modify the order when you drag it around. We're going to put in the one for our new trade, right? So we're going to go down here and we're going to go stop loss, and we want it to be below this wick, right? Because when we're setting our stop loss, you always want it to be below the last level of support, right? So let's go have a quick look through here. That looks like a pretty clear level of support. We're going to tag there, support. So multiple resistance tags, multiple support tags, again, support here. So realistically, I was looking for the trade-off here last night. This was actually a much better level. Looking at it again now, hindsight's always 2020 though, isn't it? But we can still take the trade anyway. So now looking, and we're going to put our stop loss in below this level, so 2.71, and we're also going to put our take profit in as well, which is going to be at the top of the falling wedge. So generally when we have our falling wedges, you go for the target one would be the first sort of bump or high, right, at the resistance level. So I'm going to take the middle one here, right? And then I'm going to take the second one here, right? So this would be our target one, and this would be target two, but I'm looking to get a little bit more aggressive on this move. If it does break out, might end up doing something like this as well, right? But I think ultimately we'll blow past this level, right? So thinking about that, I'm going to be looking for target two mainly. So we're going to set our take profit at we'll just make it 3.9196. So 3.196, right? And so we can see here that the gain of the move up here is going to be 9.8% that I'm going to get back, right? And the loss is going to be 6.8% if I get stopped out, right? Which is pretty cool because not that many other exchanges sort of do this type of thing. Or if you want to do this on BitMEX, you have to open up the calculator and put it all in. It can be a bit of a pain in the ass, whereas this sort of just does it all for you in one go. So it's pretty cool, right? And then we can put our position size calculator on there. Our risk reward calculator, and it comes out at 1.46, which isn't horrific. It's not the best. I would much rather have got in on the first candle that comes in on the back here. I'd be looking for something like this instead, right? Which would have given us a much better risk to reward ratio. But you can still take that sort of setup. So yeah, then we go down, right? We just go like this and we click on place order, and it will set our order up. And then our take profit will be in up here. You don't see the take profit, but we have our sell stop set up here. So when the take profit gets triggered, it will just go up and it'll take us out of the trade, and we can move our stop around, right? So like the one before, we're going to take this one and move it back up here, right? Or you can set it below the next level of support, right? Which would be underneath this level here. But there's no point really to do that. I think if it breaks down and gets rejected through here, we don't really want to be in the trade anymore. Oops. Right, so we can move this one up. We might even go higher, right? and put it somewhere like this. And you just click on here and modify the order, and it'll move it up for you. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that, how it sort of has the feature like that, and then it asks you if you want to confirm it, because obviously I trade a lot on BitMEX, and sometimes you drag your orders around and stuff like that accidentally. It can be a bit of a pain. So that's pretty much it for entering a position in here, and we can see how it all sort of works and plays out, and we'll see how this trade goes over the next couple of hours. Hopefully I don't get absolutely nuked, because that'd be slightly embarrassing. It's not the greatest trade, because we're literally buying at resistance, but we're trying to catch a bit of a breakout at the moment. It's not the usual setup I take. I'd rather be looking for like a double bottom down here or something like that, or have gotten in a little bit earlier. But we can see how the little blue arrows have come up on the trades that we've entered, right? And then obviously on the trades that we exit on, they come up as the red arrows, or well, realistically the blue are long and the reds are short, right? All right, so we're already up $12. Winner, chicken dinner, love and life. Maybe there's a whole heap of us on the call that are all following this trade, and we're pushing it out. Bitcoin's starting to push as well, which is always a good sign for this trade to continue to play out. And then we can come back and we can look at the XTZ Bitcoin pair and see what that is doing at the moment. So let's stop following my squiggly line. Let's see how it continues to play out. For me, just looking at this, I think it's fairly similar to the USD pair, and that's because Bitcoin hasn't moved that much. But if we get a breakout of here, it's going to pump up to here at least, and we should get a nice little return on our trade, right? Any questions from any of the guys that I should be answering, Troy, about how this is working and operating?
No questions about that. They're all just wanting to know when moon.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Hopefully in the next hour.
They're asking, would you leverage trade that, the trade you're looking at now, would you do that on leverage? Is this on leverage, is what they're asking?
Yeah, so automatically on 10x anyway, because I've got 2 Bitcoin on this account, it's only using 0.95. Sorry, 0.59, right? So basically not really any leverage. I mean, my account can fund this for a spot account, but I can always turn the leverage up if I want to, and go and use that same capital to go and enter, like a 5 Bitcoin position on Bitcoin, right? So, because generally for me anyway, I know you're a little bit different, but for me, my altcoin trades are always a lot smaller in capital, because I just don't trust them as much. But I haven't really been trading alt USD pairs that much either. So I'm still figuring out what I want to do with that and my strategy around that, how much I want to risk per trade. I might risk, it depends how much I end up putting on this account. But, usually I have about 3 to 5 BTC in an account, because, when you've got multiple amounts of leverage, you don't really need that much more for huge, like decent position sizes, unless you want to trade like 200K position sizes. So yeah, for me, I've just been testing like 5K positions on here at the moment. But if I wanted to do leverage, I definitely could on there. And the only thing I would need to do is just increase the amount of contracts. Like I don't have to mess around with changing the leverage and worrying about liquidations and stuff like that. Like I'm just on cross leverage. So you need to be careful that you don't get your whole account liquidated, right? We've got all the different leverages over here as well, if you want to mess around and trade around with that too. So
another question.
Yep.
If you wanted to close this trade right now, how would you go about that?
Yep. So if I wanted to change it, close it, sorry, I could just go over here and just go market close. And that would exit me out of the position. The other thing as well that I could do is see I've got limit order open. So we're looking at the advanced version of it. If I click on that and just go back to normal limit order, I can just click inside the order book here on a sell position, right? I would probably take me to about, or it keeps jumping around, but probably take me to second or third down, which isn't really that much of a difference anyway. So because there's a lot of volume on here, there wouldn't be really any slippage, right? And then I could just go, my total position size at the moment is 6,000, right? So I just have to go 6,000, right? And then obviously click across to the sell side, right? So you can click up the top here, or you can click down the bottom to flip across to the sell side. And then I could just click in one of these here and then click sell for the $6,000 position, and it will clear me out. I would actually have to do $6,002 because everything's based on USD and not on Bitcoin. So typically when we're trading on, oh no, sorry, it is the same because it's always in the USD that you value the size of your position. So yeah, possibly could be about to get rejected right at resistance here. So let's see how that ends up playing out. But most of this was just an example. It's not the typical type of trade that I try and take. Buying at resistance isn't really my thing, but sometimes you've got to do it. Yeah, so we can go across and look at Bitcoin at the moment. So if I wanted to go, let's just say I had an order in here. If I wanted to, I could just go and put a stop market order in somewhere, right? So let's just say $1,000 down, right? So we do a stop sell, right? And then I would want to change that to have reduce only on, which means that it's actually going to play as a stop to reduce my position size, not expand it. And then I just need to put the trigger price in. So the trigger price would be, let's just put in 9,100, right? And so we're going to put that in. Oh, sorry, that's not going to work. Yep, no, there we go. So still put a sell stop in. Right, and then I can click here and drag it below, right, and line it up with the last level of support. It's going to pop up with a modify order. And then we're done, right? It's as simple as that. And then in here, right, you can just click on it and to cancel it. In here, I can get access to any other type of take profit or trailing stop that I want, right? So if I forgot to put down something in the advanced calculator, like I didn't put in my take profit, or I didn't put in my stop loss or something like that, I can come back to this one and just enter them in one by one manually. So you got everything in there that you need. You got trailing stops in there as well. So trail value. Basically, the way this would work is if I put a position on, and then I had trail value on there, I could just make it like 80 points behind. Oh, that's going to be 80 cents, right? So I need to do it like that, $80, 0.00. So it's going to make $80. And then that will set, just say my order was, let's just say we've got a good entry, right? And we entered in here, right? I could put my trailing stop and it would start down here, $80 below. But as price increased and went up, and it would just stay $80 below, and then it would stay like that until price moved back down. It doesn't move back down with price; it only moves up, and then price comes back down, takes out the trailing stop, and then it might continue or it might get wrecked from there. So that's why trailing stops can be useful if you're trading and you've got a big position size on, and you're worried about the position rolling over or something like that. And you want to go to bed. I think that's generally when I use my trailing stop. So I need to leave the house and go to the gym or something like that. That's when I use a trailing stop over, take profit or something like that. If I don't think the take profit's probably going to get hit and there's a bit of risk on the trade, or might be up a certain amount. So yeah, there's all those sort of factors you want to take in, but generally don't use trailing stops very often. All right. So yeah, we've pretty much covered off all different ways that we can enter our stops. So obviously we can use the advanced calculator to put in our stop when we put in our entry, which is what I definitely recommend to do. And we're going to take you guys through calculating your position size correctly, so you can do all this in one go and you have the correct position size. So you're not just entering in $1,000 or something like that. You'll be probably most of the time entering in like 4,089 or something like that. And then you're going to be calculating how much position size is going to be needed per trade based on the size of your account, and then how far your stop loss is away from your entry. And so the closer your stop loss is to your entry, the larger this amount's going to be, because what we're going to be working on is getting you guys to risk 1% for every trade that you go into, right? And you can decide to do less for altcoins as well if you want to, but yeah, we can talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so we went over setting take profits, and we went over how to enter individual stops and take profits as well. We'll quickly go over the order book. Right, so the order book obviously is down here, right? and it's pretty straightforward. Some people, you might not have an order book that looks like this because you actually have to adjust it if you've been trading on BitMEX to make it look like this. But this is the way my order book always looks because it's just so much easier to view it, the representation of it. But obviously on the left-hand side where all the green is, that is people with buy orders, limit buy orders, and you can see the price, right? And it goes down $1 at a time. That's because I've got grouping at 1. And you can change that to none, right? Which will take it down to 0.5, so 50 cents grouping. You can change it to 1, you can change it to 0.5, you can change it to 10 if you want. You can change it to 250 and see how deep, it goes, right? And so this can give you a little bit of understanding at, where there might be walls and stuff like that. But generally, we always teach people not to look at the order book. It's a bit of a meme. People can put orders in and pull them out whenever they want to, right? Go read a book, Flash Crash, and you can learn a lot about the thing called spoofing, right, and how that works, and how a guy managed to crash the global stock market, the S&P 500, a few $1 trillion in a couple of hours by using some of his bots, and they overloaded. So it's actually a pretty good book. Highly recommend if you guys are interested in trading that you read it. He's a bit of a weapon. He was making he was making like $800,050 a day at one point, the peak, and he was doing that for quite a while. So pretty cool little thing to check out. It's quite an exciting story. He ended up getting hunted down by the feds because it crashed the market, but he was basically using spoofing and manipulating the order book by putting in orders in here. And we see this happen a lot. You see it happen a lot on BitMEX, actually. A lot of time before there's going to be a big move, you might see a big like $10 or $40 million wall pop in and out and in and out. A lot of the time what they're doing is they're actually setting up a position on the short side. And basically what's happening is they're pushing people by having a big wall here. They're pushing people into their own sell order. So they're building a sell position on here. They've got the wall up, holding it up so that they don't crash the market with their sells. Everyone's like, oh, there's this big support that we can get in front of, and they're trying to front run the massive buy wall straight into the whale sells. And then, he pulls the buy wall, starts to market sell, and then nukes the market. And we saw that happening a lot last year. They might have done something about it because it's actually illegal. So the CFTC might have started looking at it a little bit and pulling up BitMEX on it. But we still saw it a fair bit at the start of the year, though, didn't we, Troy? But I haven't seen it since we had the big crashes. So I'm not sure if there's anything like that going on behind the scenes because I haven't seen it in a while. But yeah, somebody was just asking me about the book. So the book is called Flash Crash. And the guy's name is Nav. He's a bit of an infamous trader. He was on like all the forums and stuff like that for a while. But he was working for a few different hedge funds in the UK. But yeah, it's a good book. Get it on Audible or something like that if you want. So yeah, moving forward, that's pretty much the order book. I don't know if anyone has any questions about that. And then we can quickly look at the shareable, the other P&L. So you can go over here and go to P&L, right? But I've actually already opened it up over here, right? And so you can go and you can muck around with it, right? And you can see. So you can see here my moves, which I've generally been winning on most of those. Had a couple of moves for a while when I was testing using stop losses. And I pretty much lost every single time I used a stop loss. So that sort of changed my strategy on that a little bit. Total account is down $120. And that's mainly because I got stopped out pretty much at break even on Link. Stopped out on Bitcoin from the bull hammer that I longed the other day. And then we have the XTZ. I got 2 losses on that one and the current trade that's open at the moment. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing too crazy, but it's cool because it sort of like breaks it up and it gives you sort of an in-depth insight into what you can look at. And so if I was looking at this over a really long period of time, and let's just say my Bitcoin trading was negative and so are my alts trading, I'll just be like, well, maybe I'm only going to trade volatility now because I seem to be profitable there, but I seem to be getting stopped out a lot on my other trades. So, you can use that, and we'll go into like testing and things like that a little bit later. So yeah. But yeah, obviously $120 down at the moment while I've been mucking around. I would be doing much better, but if I was only trading the move. But yeah, haven't been haven't been having any actual trades play out in my favor yet on XTZ or Bitcoin on this exchange. It's been pretty choppy lately, but we're starting to get a bit more love back. Hopefully, the market's going to keep moving now. CME seems to be leading the charge right now at almost 9,400. So hopefully we can get a couple of proper trades, and I'll be able to increase my P&L score, because it's not good to be sitting in the red. Anyone got any questions at the moment? I can't really see the chat box for some reason.
Yeah, it's annoying how Zoom hides it from you. Question from Matthew Haynes. If it's a 1% risk ratio, how much do you need to start trading with fees in mind, etc.?
Yeah, so you can trade with any amount, Matt. So I'll give you an example, right? This is the position size calculation, right? And so this is based on a $36,000 account, right? And then this is the risk. So this is the 1% that we're going to risk. And this is with, let's just make it 2.65, right? So let's just say my stop loss to entry was 2.65% away. So that's like my entry is at, I don't know, $9,400 and the stop loss is like $9,200, and that ends up being 2.65% away from the entry. I would put that value in there. So distance from stop loss to entry is the one that's most important. Account size obviously goes here, and then this is how much you want to risk. So you can change how much you want to risk of your account if you're more confident on that setup. So you might do like a 2% or even up to a 5%. I usually stick to 1 up to 3, right? 3 is about as high as I go. I have 1 set up, which I'm going to teach you guys, which I actually do 3. So that basically means that for every trade that I enter and I set up, that is usually on a 1% trade. So my standard entries are usually 1% of my account. I'm actually doing 3 of those trades in one. And I do that because I have a higher probability that this trade setup is going to play out. And I know that from back testing over long periods of time, that this is the most profitable trading setup for me. It's pretty much a 4-hour bull div. And, it might coincide with bouncing off an order block or have a few other things that support it, right? Like an SFP or something like that. And so, yeah. Then I would upgrade it. But apart from that, generally I'm usually on 1% of the account, right? And the whole idea of this is so you can actually set it up to be trading like your entire net worth or your entire trading account in general across all exchanges, or your entire Bitcoin value or something like that if you want to. Then you can use the leverage on the exchange to boost your trade size. So you can trade like you have all your crypto on the actual exchange. And so you don't have to always be holding all of your Bitcoin on exchange, right? Which is what we don't want to do, right? So I do that, and basically it comes out at, I'll need to refresh that. It comes out to 13,584. So then I would take that, I would go back to here, and I would punch in 13,800. What was it? 13,584. 13,584, and that would be my position size, right? And now I would enter my stop loss in, right? Which you can do 2.56, right? And then I could also move my take profit, right? Let's go 14,000, right? So then it's going to tell me how much I'm going to make back. So obviously that'd be an amazing trade if it ends up playing out. But I'd probably be taking profit at a much lower point, maybe like 9,800, right? And so we can see here that we get a 4% gain or almost 5% gain and a 2.5% loss on that, right? So yeah, hopefully that makes sense and clears that up. We're going to go over that a lot more in detail and setting up the calculation for your position size. So no stress if you didn't pick that up then. We'll go into it a lot deeper soon. All right, so that's pretty much it from my end. How's our trade playing out? Sort of pulling back a little bit, but we'll see how she goes. All right, I'll handball back across to you, Troy, and we'll go through TradingView.
Cool. One moment. Can you see FTX platform dash Troy? Everyone see that? I'm just going to bring this chat back up. One moment. Where is it hiding the chat now?
Yeah, all good, dude. All
Cool,
good.
cool. Just trying to find this chat. It's hiding the chat. That's annoying. All right. We'll get stuck into it, guys. I can't see the chat at the moment, so feel free to harass Kyle or use the Q&A. Oh no, chat says come back up. Here we go. We're good. Cool. All right, we'll get into it. So we're going to just cover TradingView now. Okay, just going to do an in-depth, quick run around TradingView, get people familiar with it, just so you can use this to utilize and increase your efficiency in trading. I believe it's a great tool to help. I'm just going to go to a standard chart and get rid of this. If you don't have a TradingView account yet, you feel free to use the link that we provided. It'll give you $30 credit, and that $30 credit can go towards, if we bring this up, yeah, here we go here. So you both get $30 credit, both the person who account you used and yourself, and you can put that towards premium time on TradingView. So depending on which account you sign up with is what you'll get. The difference between the accounts is how many indicators you can have on the chart. It depends how in-depth you want to get to it. I myself have the highest paid one. It just allows unlimited of all things. I'm personally someone who prefers to invest in themselves or invest in the tools of a trade. So if you're a trader, for instance, you need your tools to trade, right? To be able to build, to be able to fix, blah, blah, blah. It's the same with trading. I think TradingView is one of the only real overhead expenses you've got as a trader. So I think definitely invest in this if you do want to take your trading seriously. There is a free trial. I believe it could even be a month. Don't hold me to that, but there's a free trial. Definitely use that. There's a little trick to TradingView as well. They're very keen to get your business. Okay, so you want to use that to your advantage, and you can actually talk to their customer care. So after your 30-day trial is run out, you can talk to the customer care and ask for a discount. You can usually get that discount down to 50%. So just haggle, be the annoying haggler, and save some money if you like. Or you can wait till Black Friday, which is usually when I put the announcements back out again. I do it every year. I've done it for 3-4 years now. That if you're going to get a TradingView account around Black Friday is a great time to do it because they do massive sales, being an American company. But like I said, they're really keen to get your business, so use that to your advantage and haggle with them. They at least 50% off. So when you first go to TradingView, you actually end up in a completely different screen to this. And when I first started trading on TradingView and mucking around on here, I actually got quite confused by this. So I'll quickly just show you where I went wrong and how you can quickly learn quick. So TradingView is a website based on technical analysis mostly, bunch of charts, ideas, people publish them and the rest of it. And you can go find other people's ideas, for instance. So we go look at Tesla. We can bring that up here, search that, and we're going to get a bunch of information on Tesla here, right? Or we can go straight across the top here, and you can see different other people's ideas. So they've published charts saying this is what they think will happen. It's a good way just to explore markets. In all honesty, though, it's complete shit, the amount of stuff that gets posted on here. So don't take any of it seriously. Just learn from it. But when you're at this main screen and you want to get to your own charts, you've got this little button here. Now, this is where I got lost when I first started using this website, right? So click on that, and that will take you to your charts. Once you're at your charts, you can navigate from here. This is now it gets a bit easier. But that little step was a little bit of a hiccup for me at the beginning. So just making sure that people understand that's how you get to your chart from the main screen. And then each of your charts are going to have their own URL up here. So if you've got a paid account like me and Kyle, where you've got unlimited amount of URLs you can have, you're going to have plenty of those, which can be found over here. There's new chart layout and load chart layout. So by load chart layout, each one of these is a different kind of chart, like this one, very similar, but it's got data saved to that specific URL. Now, what I mean by that is if we say, for instance, I've got this one up called CME. It's got a particular ticker here, which is the CME ticker, BTC1 exclamation mark. If I go and open this in a new tab, like I right click that, you can see up here, this URL is actually different to this URL, okay? So this is the CME chart, and this is what we're seeing on Bitcoin at the moment. So when we go to a different URL, different URL but the same ticker, so BTC1 like that, which is CME chart, we're now there on this chart, but a completely different information here. Different websites is how I look at it. So it's a complete different website. So if we do a line on this chart, a nice white line, and then we go ahead and save that by clicking this button, which will refresh and lock in that line. So when we refresh this, that line will be there on BTC1, right? We go over to this one and we refresh it, that line isn't going to be here, right? And if it was, we wouldn't see it anyway because the background's white, right? But what it means is the data gets saved to this. So if we go back to BTC USD now on a different exchange, right, we haven't got that line. So the data is different on this exchange to where we just were. So we go back to that, we'll see our white line again on that URL. So when you're first learning and exploring and taking it all in, you can get quite lost pretty quickly because the simple things like that, they can trick you up. I've had many newbies come and go out of my community over the last 4 years, and that is one of the things that trick them on TradingView probably the most. Is just where their chart's gone or where their data's gone. So I just want to cover that. It's really simple for the people who know, but when you don't know, that's one of the things that you get caught up on. So just understand the URL, right? So what I do is I've got a main Bitcoin chart here. It's this one here that has a J7X, and that's how I know it's my main one. And I've actually shared this. So I've got a sharing button here. So if anyone actually goes to this link, which I'll just throw in chat now, they can actually see my main Bitcoin chart, which has all my supports and resistances and the rest of it. You only see what I've put on here though. So the time frame I've got and the level of zoom that I'm at. But so when you finally have a main URL and you've got your mind around that, favorite it, put it up here somewhere. So that URL will always take you to your main chart, right? And then if you want, you can even go and label them. So if we wanted to make a new chart for just FTX, for instance, so we'll go ahead here and we'll go and find Bitcoin USD or USDT because they're both available, right? We've got the FTX one here. We'll throw him on. I'll go for a white background, which I'll cover later how to do this. I prefer the white. Get rid of the indicators, right? And up here at the moment, because we made a new one, that's now called unnamed, right? We want to rename this and call this FTX. Go save. Now, whenever we look at this from now on, it'll be called FTX. So when we want to find it quickly, we can now see, we'll go back. We can now see that it's called FTX in this list, right? So say they end up all the way down here and you're trying to find your FTX chart really quickly. That's how you do it. And now this new one that we just created, the FTX one, has a new URL again. So up here, this is new. So if I go to any other ticker that I've ever gone to before, none of my old data there, none of my old lines are there because it's a fresh website. That's probably the best way of getting your mind around it is they are individual unique websites, right? So any information that you input on this website is not going to be the same as the one you put on this one. So hopefully people got their mind around that. We'll just get into the basics of it, right? I don't really use any of this here. It's all found elsewhere, right? But if you do want to get to your own account, you can do that through here. You get your profile settings and your account billing. The profile is somewhat like a bit of a social media approach to technical analysis. And you can publish your own ideas. So you guys may have seen my Doge chart, right? Put this out there for everyone to see. And it said, based around this arrow here, this arrow here, this one, we should start to see a pump close to this date, right, based on the information. And then if you watch the chart play out, you can actually press play and watch it. It's launched close to this arrow here, right? So you can actually publish, share these ideas around. You can get familiar with this stuff. And it gives you, if you get good at technical analysis over time, you can actually, it can be used for clout mode, if you understand the word clout, or to, for instance, like guides like this, like a halving event, right? So the previous halvings. So you can use it in many different ways you want, and you can just publish charts, which I'll go back to and show you how now. Where are we? We've got the FTX one here. So say, for instance, you've done your pretty little lines and you've got yourself a technical analysis that you want to show a friend or nugget, you want to get his opinion or something, right? So there's a clear triangle type fractal plane here and it's broken out, all right? So what we can do is go up here to publish and we can call this whatever we want. We'll call this symmetrical triangle, whatever. Cool. Give it a little bit of a guide. That TradingView are pretty anal at the moment about your descriptions of what you do post. So just breakout trade or something. And you've also got the option down here. You've got publish private or public down here. So what that means is if you publish this publicly after choosing the correct inputs here, it'll actually put your trade back where we saw that social media aspect of it, where people search the idea. So your idea will appear in that section, right? But if you post it privately, only you'll have access to that. Now, that's a really good way to start paper trading or start testing theories. So say, for instance, for this triangle fractal that's playing out, technically, if this is to play out bullish, this would be the ultimate target of this from the point of break, which takes us back to the high, right? So if I went ahead and published this now as a trade plan, this is my entry, my stop loss, and my target, you can now watch that play out and go back and go over it. And you can do that privately as well, so you can use this to paper trade in a sense, or just audit your trade style or whatever. So pretty handy tool, the publish, right? Check that out. Beside that, the screenshot button. So it's another quick way to show anyone you want to share a chart. So me and Kyle probably send about 100 of these to each other every day. And all you do is you copy that and go paste that somewhere in a Discord or Facebook group or Facebook Messenger, and then the chart will appear, or a link to that chart will appear exactly how you laid it on your screen, right? Based on the paid account you've got as well, there's different ways of seeing the charts, right? So if you wanted, like, if you didn't want to see my screen setup, I've got 6 screens around me. It's pretty intense, really. But 4 of them are actually vertical screens. So I actually use this setup on 4 of them. So on a horizontal wide screen, it looks pretty crap, in my opinion. But if on the side screens, it actually looks amazing. I can see a lot of data at once. So only on the paid accounts can you get most of these. So they're not critical to have, but they can be handy if you're following multiple time frames, or you're following, say, the DXY on one, which is the US dollar index, and you're following Bitcoin, for instance, on the other. Now we can see, while they're both on the 4-hour chart here, they've been doing pretty much the inverse, right? So this is starting to creep up, it's starting to creep down. It just allows you to do whatever you like, right? So we'll just get rid of this. You know, explore and play around with that. All your tools and indicators are over here. We'll teach them more on another day, how to use these effectively as a form of technical analysis or a trading strategy. But they have the little parts that drop down, right? And you've got favorite buttons here as well. And if you've got a favorite bar, it'll pop up on this. And to hide and unhide that is down here, right? So for me, I always forget that I've done this. Even though it's right in front of my face, my muscle memory always comes over here. So I've just decided to turn it off permanently now. Other than that, you've got measurement tools. If you want to drag, you can click the point after clicking that, the measuring tool, and it will tell you both the time and the price percentage that it's moved and how many bars, right? So 130 bars on the 4-hour equals to 21 days, 16 hours for that decline. Pretty straightforward. You can also just hold the shift key and then click, and it will do the same thing. You'll find when you go to print screen this, it's not going to appear on that print screen. It will actually disappear. So if you do want something permanent on the screen to show someone something, you've actually got to come and use this one, right? So throw that on the screen and then go and print screen that and it will stay. These are just a quick temporary ruler measurement. As soon as you click away or do anything, it'll disappear, all right? So a lot of newbies get caught up on that and they ask, why isn't that shut down on my screenshots and the rest of it? That's why, all right? Next is just a magnet tool, pretty straightforward. There's candle bodies and candle wicks. When this is on, it's going to do its best to swing to it or like attach to it. So if I go and get a trend line tool, you'll watch that jumps around to these tips and wicks and bodies. So it's just trying to do you a favor. can be a bloody headache sometimes as well. So you can actually hold control and I'll turn it off temporarily. Right. Next, I don't use this at all. I don't recommend using that. Local drawing tools. If you're someone who's constantly accidentally moving your stuff around by clicking it and dragging it, so we'll turn that off. If you constantly do this and stuff up your own analysis, you can use this button here and it'll lock everything. There's also an object tree down here which allows you to do that, which I'll cover as well. In this, I've also go back to this real quick. I've got a, where have I put it? I think it might be here. So I'm going to put this link here in the chat real quick, which is just another video I've done on TradingView. It goes for 1 hour and 20 minutes. So feel free to consume that in your own time too. If you do get stuck on TradingView and I have missed something in this video, that covers the rest. We'll just carry on through. Right, I don't use any of these. I don't recommend you bothering going into these. It's pretty much just showing you the last day of price or the last 5 days or 1 month on the screen at once. So going back exactly 1 month from now is here. It's a good way to quickly check, say, the monthly open, right? Because we're pretty much right at it now. But I don't use this stuff. I don't recommend you borrowing about it. Link didn't come through. It should be above. Interesting. I just put a YouTube link through. It hasn't appeared. Okay, well, I'll get those links out to you guys afterwards in my Discord. So I'll just quickly bring that up if you're not a part of that, just so you can find it. Can you guys, I don't know if you'll be able to actually see that, because it's pulling from the browser, not from the, okay. I'll get those links out to you guys in an email probably. Kyle, is that easy to do? Oh, you guys saw Discord?
Okay, yeah, cool. It is easy to do, because, yeah.
Cool, all right, well, I've got in the Discord, it depends on which part of the Discord you're in. There's an FTX channel. So I've actually put a FTX list. Oh, we need to quickly edit that before anyone sees that. FTX list. So that's all the we're going to get into this in a second, but this is the list to get all the tickets. Someone just asked about that. I don't believe so, Matthew, not directly in that sense. I somewhat do that with another service, third party, but not directly through the exchange. It's a third party that does that for me. And it's not through FTX, that's another exchange. Yes, Jonathan, you'll get the ticket list. Cool. It should be in the socials link in the original thing we put out, but we'll get that emailed out to you with all the socials link as well, both mine and Kyle's. Because we both started separately and met each other at a crypto gig. We still have our own respective Discords and the rest of it. But we just come together to provide educational content. I think we complement each other quite well. So go back to TradingView. If you go into Pine Editor, this is, you can create or edit your own indicators. If you're a coder, you can probably achieve some pretty cool stuff with this. I'm a real data nerd myself. So I've dabbled in this a fair bit now. But the rest I wouldn't bother checking out. Right, you got log and linear. This is a bit of a mind trick for some people, but it's pretty straightforward. Kyle explains it actually very well. And it's just based off percentages or number increments. So we'll start on a zoomed out on the daily here. We're currently on linear scale. So when we draw that trend line on the linear scale, we can see on the right-hand side as well, these go up in $500 increments at the moment, right? And this trend line is from wick to wick, right? It comes down nice and clean, really easy to follow. We'll go over to log, changes completely how it's displayed, and it also changes the increments that's gone up over here. So this is now percentage based, right? Instead of the $500 increments. So because of the way it changes and it's displayed, when we zoom right out and say the daily, get rid of that trend line, completely changes how we see charts. So if we go to an old chart like BTC on Bitstamp, you're going to see on the log, sorry, linear, that looks like we're in a hypermarket, right? And this was the previous high, and it looks crazy like the NASDAQ did once upon a time. But when you go log, it's not so bad, right? So there's a difference between that, and that is just the way they're displayed on the right. And because the way they display like that, it changes the curvature of these sloped trend lines, right? So when we flip between them, completely changes and distorts them. So just keep that in mind. So if you are using any form of slope trend line on higher time frames, there may be a slight deviation than the other, right? Which one's more relevant than the other? They're both relevant. We find that on the higher time frames, like the weekly to monthly log, is probably the better one to be looking at, right? Because you can actually draw a trend line from down here all the way up through, right? You can actually see that that's a clean line, but on log, it's just a bloody mess, right? Cool. So we'll carry on from that. We don't need to cover that. This is a really cool tool I recommend people learn and discover and muck around with. This is called the object tree. This is a new feature. It used to be over here as a really lame version of it. But what this does is allows you to stay very tidy with everything that you do on the chart. So say, for instance, you do all your horizontal supports and resistances, right? So you've got a few lines on the chart and you want to save those specifically as your horizontals. You can come across here and actually put those into a folder, right? And you can rename this and you just call this horizontals or whatever you like, right? And then we can do the same again. We can actually hide that, right? And we can also lock those as well. So if they're unhidden, when we do select them, we can't drag them. So we can make some draggable and some not. I don't see the point of that, but that's what it allows. We can hide that, just that. And we can then go and do the same thing with a fib tool, right? So we've got a fib from here to here, however we're going to do that. And we can then put that into its own folder as well, rename and just call it fib or however you want to do it. But by doing this, you can see the power or the time saving or the efficiency that you can start to create by using this effectively. So if you're someone like me whose charts can get pretty busy at times with all the excess lines and the rest of it all over it, having the object tree allows you to stay on top of that. So I haven't set it up on this particular chart, but there is one, and I'll just show you the example if you haven't seen this yet. Where have I put it? Master object tree. So here we go. See, I've even named it, so I know where to find it nice and quick. I've got every single form of support and resistance and anything that's worth watching over here. So I'll get rid of these indicators, and I can just quickly show you like how fast you can flick through and see any relevant levels you may have previously marked. And it just saves you not having to constantly redo your charts or manipulate them constantly and the rest of it, right? So I haven't updated this for a couple of weeks now because Bitcoin's just been very boring. But an amazing tool if you haven't seen this. It'll save you so much time. And if you're an efficient kind of person, you're going to love it. And notifications, these are just people that follow you, like your ideas and the rest of it, nothing special. Next would be idea stream. So any traders you follow on TradingView, any ideas they publish will appear here, right? Anyone who gets it right often, follow them. And if they publish an idea, check it out, right? These are messages, both public and private, ideas that you've published yourself, right? Irrelevant in my opinion. Hot list. I think this is also irrelevant for crypto. Irrelevant for crypto. Data window is just based on what you're seeing here on the chart you've got open. I don't use this ever. Alerts. With a free account, you're very limited on what you can use here, right? One of the main reasons I went to a the full paid I think it's called premium account is because you got unlimited alerts. And me and a couple of the other users in my Discord found out that unlimited isn't actually unlimited. We actually capped it out. A lot of the trading that we did do was off specific events on the chart. So what we did was create an indicator that allowed to track those, and then whenever that happened, it would set up an alert. So we tracked the entire market by doing that, but reached the cap. So if you're an alert trader, I highly recommend getting one of the higher paid accounts. They do save a lot of your work-life balance, if that makes sense. So if you've set up this correctly and everything's set up how you should be able to walk away from the computer, right? FTX has alerts in the sense of FTX of TradingView, because all FTX tickers are available here. So if I go up to the list, which I'm about to get to now, right, we can go down to FTX, which is importable. I might see if I can include it in the email as well that we will send out for the next link, and include this in that, right? But I'll just show you how to import this and export this. So when you do receive this, you can use it. So if you wanted an alert on TradingView, for instance, on their BTC USD pair, which we can probably quickly find. Where are we hiding that? Here. So this is their BTC USD pair. and you want to set an alert on it, you can do that here through TradingView, which is linked directly to FTX in real time. Right, so you can have an alert on this, create alert, and then when this goes off, it's telling you that FTX in real time is reaching that level or whatever variable had to happen for that alert to go off. To import and export, real simple. Up the top here, when you click on this little drop-down box, whether it be, it won't say FTX on yours, it might just have something different like this. We'll just call it, it's going to be blank. It might just have unnamed, or I'm not sure what the default one is called. But when you have that drop-down bit here, all right, you end up with the color coding, import, export, and the rest, and then any ones that you have made in this list. All right, so we're going here to make a new one, and we'll just call this training. All right, so this is currently empty now. Right, so there's no tickers available in that, which is straightforward. If we want to go and add a bunch, we can do it like this. So Bitcoin USD, we'll find FTX, right, and now it's here. So if you want to go ahead and populate one of these, it can take a fair amount of time. So I went and did that for you guys already, and I've gone and got, as of about a week ago, every FTX ticker they've got, and put it onto this, which will save you guys a lot of time if you do muck around on TradingView and use this to complement your trading. So I'll get this file out on both the Discord, which it is already in the FTX section, and in the email that we send out next with the social links as well. Right, this will save you a lot of time. I've also got another one called main, right? And what this one here is it's got all the tickers I follow. So I can also share that one out as well. It's got all of Binance's tickers as well as all of FTX's tickers in one, right? I still do a little bit of trading on Binance. Yeah, cool. Next is import and export. So say for instance, we've got this main one that we've just made and it's great and we want to give this to someone else. Come up to export and it's going to put a little download here, which is going to take it to your downloads folder. So to find that and import it, we'll come back up here, import list. In the downloads folder, you're going to have it here, right? That's the one we've just done here, and you can just import that into your TradingView. So really simple, just text files in and out, really easy. Yes, Josh, we're going to get an invite out to that. Just working with Kyle at the moment, working out the best way to do the admin of that. We didn't realize we were going to get over 500 people joining this. It's pretty awesome that people have joined in that large amount, but I wasn't expecting that for the admin work. So adding and removing 500 people is going to take a little bit of work. So we'll get that out to you guys ASAP because that is part of the deal. You guys do this with us, and we'll definitely get you guys some access to some of the private content that we share and the rest of it, updates, trade calls, or whatever. Right. That's for a month on both of ours. Cool. So any questions on this part here, guys? Because I think this will save you a lot of time. It took me several hours to make that list and going through and adding every single one of these. The recordings will be sent out to you, I think, via email, Carl, I believe. We'll get the recordings out to you, but they'll probably be on the Discord as well of the current recordings of what we're doing. Other than that, I'm not sure what more I can add other than maybe just the settings of TradingView itself and templates. I'll just quickly cover those as well, and we might be able to wrap up tonight. It's gone for a little bit longer, but this is more of a basic one tonight, and then the next ones will get a bit more advanced. But we'll just go into the settings now of TradingView. Cool. So you've got your candles, right? Real simple, and you can change the color of these. Anyone who's been following me for the last few years, I've had many different kind of color themes. Gets a bit out of hand. I've gone back to black and white mostly, right? So what you can also do is save that as a template. So we can go ahead and do this as a muck around. We'll go pink candles, right? We'll make the borders pink as well. All right, so all the bullish aspects to a candle, right? The candles that head up, and now going to have all of this as their color code and black for the bearish candles, right? So we can now differentiate between the two, and we can then go ahead and save that as a template if we want, all right? So down here, what this means is the color code and any other settings that we've just changed are now going to be called a theme. So we'll call this pink black, right? And that means we've got a white background as well. So whenever we open these, right, we can quickly flick between our color themes. right? However you want to do it. So I've got a few different ones, just because of the 6 screens around me. Most of them have a black background, but the main one is white. So the pink black we just made is here, this one. And we can go change more settings or muck around further. You can't break TradingView because there is always a reset to default. So feel free to muck around with these. Just tick and untick and see what happens. So up here, for instance, this one is the current price line. If you don't want it, you can get rid of it. All right. Simple stuff, really. Simple, top left, up here. You can add more information if you want. I personally have as much off the screen as possible. You can muck around with all of this. Don't spend too much time in here, but you can't break it, right, because you've got that reset as default. And once you've finally found your perfect layout that makes charting easier for you or whatever, you can just go here and go save as template. And you can save back over the old one as well. You just have to remember what you called it, which we had this as pink flag, I think. And then it'll just ask you to replace that, right? So pretty straightforward. When it comes to that, I'll just go back to my default, which is PP. And then you've also got indicator templates, which I'll give you a quick brief run over now, but we'll cover that a bit later as well. Say, for instance, we want to add a couple of moving averages. Say you're an MA trader and you like a few indicators to help you track momentum and the rest of it. So we'll just make one, say 50, and we'll make this, I always have my green, so my 50 green, make that a bit thicker. Next, we'll go to yellow, make this one a bit thicker again, because it's the 100, and then we'll go to the 200, all right, and we'll make this one red. So this is my color theme. So if you ever see my charts, this is the color theme I go by. The 50, 100, and 200 moving averages are actually the oldest form of technical analysis that exists. These are the majors that have been around since forever. And if you've followed Bitcoin for a long time, you'll know the 200 plays a massive role. All right, so we've now got those the separate indicators over here. We can turn that into a template. Now what that means is up here at the moment, I've got these little buttons, right? So if I go ahead and press one of these, it quickly adds a specific set of indicators and a specific way I've set them to the chart. All right, so if I flick between these, you can see like one of my main setups here, or the one we just were on before, or the one before that, all right? So at first, these were just free moving averages. Now they're free moving averages with specific colors and specific settings. So we go ahead and turn this into a template using this button here, right? And we can just choose this. We're going to save it. So I'll go back to that so you can see it. You go save indicator template, all right? We'll just call this MA or moving average or MA free, right? And you've got these two new features I've just added. You can remember the interval. So say, for instance, you've got a specific chart that you always want to check, right? At a specific time frame as well. So say BTC on the 30-minute, we can click both of these. And then what that means is when we click on that, when it appears up here, it'll take you straight to Bitcoin on the 30-minute with these indicators. So it can be pretty handy if you're specifically checking a specific chart or a time frame with specific indicator setups. I'll turn those off for now, and we'll just go save. Cool. So it hasn't shown up here yet. We've actually got to go and favorite it. So we need to go and find that in our list, MA free, add that, and now it's up here as the MA free. So what that means is we can quickly go to, say, my main setup and have a look at that, which there's no moving averages on here. It's Ichimoku, right? And Ichimoku is saying right now that we are nearly bullish. At 10 my time, which will be tomorrow morning, we'll be bullish again. No, sorry, my UTC's, that's just stuffed up. Let me just fix that real quick. We'll go to New Zealand. Cool. So at 2:30 my time, if we're still above over here, there's potential for further upside based on Ichimoku. But if we want to go back to our moving averages we just made, we just press the M and we're back here, right? So very powerful if you use these correctly. Like I've got these two over here set. This is 4-day in Bitcoin with specific indicators in that setup. So it's taking me straight to the 4-hour on Bitcoin by pressing that one button. Then I can go straight to the daily on Bitcoin by pressing one button, right? So they save a lot of time. That's a new feature that's been added where you can jump to time and indicator as well. Sorry, ticker. So explore those. We won't go too much further into this. I'll wrap that up there for TradingView for now. I'll get that link out as well on the other video I've done. It's an hour and 20 minutes long. It pretty much covers every aspect of TradingView, which is down here. I'll try and get this out to you. Technical analysis versus trading strategy. Now, this is where a lot of Twitter influencers or social influencers in the trading space, they seem to get this wrong, and they don't seem to quite have an understanding, or they'll completely dismiss something else because it's not their trading strategy. So by that I mean, if you've got a trading strategy that involves maybe 2 indicators, we'll go back to a clean chart, see if I can find any here. Say our trading strategy involves 2 moving averages and maybe a oscillating indicator. So we're just going to make these 2 different individual numbers, right? So say that's part of our trading strategy is 2 moving averages, and when they do specific things, or when price does specific things into them, that's when we take a trade, right? And then we use an oscillator, for instance, maybe stochastic or MACD or something like that to help assist with this trade. So in this particular circumstance, we'd have a checklist-based trading strategy, and that would be when X, Y, and Z occur, we can take a trade, right? So say that was Y, here's X, and there's Z, we can take that trade. That's a trading strategy. That means you'll take that every time, no matter what, and statistics should state that if you take that every time, over 1,000 times, you should be profitable, right? No matter what happens, because the statistics say that this works out more often than not, right? And that's one of my trading strategies I will teach you guys during this that has an 84% strike rate because it's been back tested and forward tested hundreds of times, and the data there is behind it to back it, right? So that's a trading strategy. Technical analysis is another thing altogether. So say, for instance, you've jumped on for the day and you just want to analyze the market, but you're not looking to trade it. So that, in a sense, will be technical analysis. You want to find your supports and resistances, but just because you found a support down here, it plays no role in your trading strategy that you might be looking at up here on the 5-minute or the 15-minute or something, right? So getting your mind around those 2 things is completely different. Say Ichimoku, for instance, if we go bring up Ichimoku, the indicator, a lot of people don't know how to use it or frown upon it because it's different. For me, I think it's one of the most powerful tools out there, which I covered in the video guys last night. Remember, guys, whoever watched that, I said on the daily, the lagging line, this green line, was coming up through price to expect volatility, and there's a bull flag forming, so there's a chance that was coming up, and it's along the move contract. So Ichimoku predicted that we'd be breaking up on this day or breaking down on this day. It's a very powerful indicator, but I'm not going to go ahead and trade purely based off that, right? Because that's not a trading strategy. But this is telling me to expect volatility. So that's technical analysis, where my trading strategy will say on the 4-hour, there has to be X, Y, and Z, which isn't at the moment. My X, Y, and Z means that price has to be above this section, and this has to be above price, and the blue has to be above the red. So all those combinations have to occur before I can take a long position. And as long as you do that every time the market offers that setup, you will be a profitable trader, and data says that's true. So as long as you wait for those specific 4 events or 3-4 events, you're going to be a profitable trader. But that's, I hope I've just really got it through people's heads, the difference between technical analysis and trading strategy, right? And then you've also got planning the trade, which we're going to go front to back with during one of the later sessions. But what I mean by that is, so say for instance, we start our day, we'll clean this chart up. So let's say Bitcoin was about to break out. We'll use the replay tool back to back here, right? So we've started the day, we've identified there's a fractal here, which we covered last night in last night's video. And we said it's looking much like a bull flag, right? And if this does play and break that resistance, we're looking for a long. And to get into an entry, maybe on the pullback, on the retest of this trend line, that's usually how it works. So we're starting to plan the trade, but we're not trading yet. We're not going to jump into a long yet. We really want to work out what's the most optimal entry, where to have the stop loss, to try and give you a good size position without risking too much. So I'm going to use fibs as a part of this. So I've gone from the low to the high using my fib. I'm on the log. I'm just going to make sure I'm on linear when doing a small time frame. Always double check that, right? And we can see there's a bullish, as I covered in those videos the last couple of weeks. This is bullish structure. So I've been in a short, but at the same time, I've been really questioning my position. But I had to stay there because that's what my strategy said to do. Because this was a bullish structure, and the fractal played true, and we broke up. So our checklist. So first we've identified the fractal, right? We've found the optimal entry, which is off the 618, which is here. This is exactly where you should be buying if it did come into it, right? Based on the fractal and the fib, that's nearly enough to go and get into a trade, right? So you could use a smaller time frame to try and fine tune this. Maybe on the 1 hour, you can find an entry candle like a pin bar maybe off this before it carries on up. Or just looking for it to reclaim maybe the trading range across here, maybe from the dump candle. So once it reclaims that, then you look for a long position. So you've done your analysis, that's your planning your trade, and then your trade will look something like this using this tool. If you haven't used it before, you can use a long position or a short position, right? So our entry is going to be off ideally here. So once price is either above this line or above that line, or both at once, or however that plays out, our stop loss will be below the low, right here, not this low, too close. I'm going to go with the major low, like the market structure, not the current small time frame trend. And our upside is going to be ideally the 382, because that's exactly why I've got mine as gold and gold. Usually you go from one straight to the other, right? And that's pretty clear, right? So that's our trade plan. A fractal, a fib, and a horizontal support reclaimed, and then we can watch that play out, however that played out, right? Which is pretty much reclaimed one. Lost it. You got the entry candle above support possibly, and then away she's gone, right? There's many different ways to look at that, but that was always the trade plan in a sense for a bull, right? And you're already halfway to target, and that was a great R to R, right? Can't really complain about that.
It's
So
definitely
that's
a tough one to pick, considering the 2 months consolidation that we've,
yeah,
especially the last couple of weeks as well. I just gave up trying to trade it because I've been stopped out so many times. So I was just like, I'm going to wait for the clarification for my next entry.
yeah,
Got that
yeah,
now, so we're looking for the next long. Just waiting for some sort of a swing low to get in long. But I did buy in as soon as we broke out. I did buy in on my spot that I had sitting on the side because I had part of my position in USDT. So I just bought back in as soon as we broke out.
yeah. It's pretty common for Bitcoin to do this after halving dates, which has
Mm.
made it pretty hard because we've also got global events happening that are affecting all markets. And logic is out the window and the Fed has just gone berserk, right? So keeping it really simple, we are now broken the downtrend, right? So that doesn't mean that we can't just go ahead and roll over here, right? Because we've done that many times before. That's how this happened back in 2000 and that was 18, right? They would slightly go above and then they'd fall over anyway. So that can still happen over here. But what we must respect is there has been a bullish candle. We have broken this downtrend. But until we get a higher high above this high, right, trend is technically still in a downtrend from the lower highs, but we are also making higher lows. So it's getting really tight, and we saw that explosion today because of that. Sooner or later, someone was going to win, but until we're above here, just be cautious because this can still do ugly stuff like this, right? Where it comes up, looks great, and then see you later. Comes up, looks great, see you later. So just be cautious. Make sure you got a plan of whatever you're doing. Myself personally, I'm not FOMOing in yet. I'd like to see a higher high first. For the sake of 50 to 100 bucks, spare change to me, I don't really care. I'll wait for the market structure to let me to get in. Instead of trying to be one of the degen traders through here, which is a completely legitimate trading strategy if you are a small time frame trader. I definitely used to be specifically that at the start of last year through till the start of this year, where the 5 minute time frame was my sweet spot. But now I prefer the higher time frame market moves just to try and stay out of this chaos that has been sideways in a very small range, 3-4% with small deviations, right?
It's been insane. But hopefully we'll get some more actual price action back and get some proper trade setups as well.
That would be great.
Won't just be a sea of stop losses.
That would be great. I'll be keen to trade again.
So is there much else you wanted to go over? Because we're at 2 hours.
No, I think we're good. Covered all
Awesome.
basics. I think all basics between FTX and TradingView are covered.
Yep, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, we will send out a recording of this, a link for the recording for you guys to access with the next invite. The next webinar will be on Thursday night, and that'll be topic 2. So we'll be going a little bit deeper into trading strategies and stuff like that. Now that we've got the basics out of the way, hopefully some of you guys have got your head a little bit more around the FTX exchange, and can start actually making a couple of trades here and there. So get some capital on there and have a bit of a play around and learn the interface. Just making really small trades and stuff like that. If you are going to trade on the move contracts, just keep your position sizes small. Like I've only been trading $100 on there. I'm a pretty experienced trader, right? So, if you guys haven't been trading for that long, don't really understand how options and stuff like that work, keep your position sizes small. I wouldn't go above $100 until you're comfortable and you've learned how that market works. So it's a lot different to other markets, and get your head around it that way first. So it's always best, when you're not on a new exchange or something like that, just use smaller position sizes just to test things out for a little while, and then you pick up a bit of momentum and then you can start trading properly. So that'd be my advice.
Stay logical, get some experience before you start throwing money around. I've
Yeah.
always told my traders, earn the right to have more money on the playing table, right? Do a bunch of trades. Even if you've got a large capital, like maybe me and Kyle might have a lot in comparison to some people, and then maybe we've got very little in comparison to others. But even when I jump on an exchange like FTX and I start learning that, I'm only playing with $50 to $100 just to learn the ins and outs and the mechanical features, right? I don't want to go above and beyond and start risking thousands and learn the hard way, right? I've done that before, so don't need to do that again.
Yeah, exactly. Because you click one button the wrong way.
It's all it takes. It's all it takes. I've market whaled sold twice, I think, now that it's hurt me, where I've maybe lost a fair bit of capital just off a single accidental market sell or market buy at the wrong time, just because I wasn't paying attention. That can happen, even to experienced traders.
Yep. There you go. There you go. Everyone does it. Well, yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. We'll see you all Thursday night at 8 p.m. We will email everybody out the invite link. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Anything else you want to add, Troy?
That's it, guys. See you on Thursday. We'll get all the links out to you as well and go from there. Yeah, pretty much, Adam. Pretty much.
See you guys.